Salveteamus, let's continue with the Aeneid, Book 2. Tum vero tremefacta novus per pectora cunctis insinuat pavor, et scellus expendisse merentem leacunta ferunt, sacrum qui cuspide robor laeseret et tergo sceleratam intorseret astam, ducendum ad sede simulacrum orandaque divae numina conclamant. Then indeed new panic or new fear penetrated through their hearts, having been shaken by everything. And they say, now you know fere means to bear, carry, bring, but it's also used as a sort of stretched out meaning to mean say. It's like they bear this news. That's kind of the extended meaning. So, and they say, people say, men say, that deserving Laocoon has paid for the crime, who defiled the sacred wood with a spear, and he hurled a foul spear, or a wicked spear. They shout, conclamant, they shout together, because it's con with clamo, clamare. Excuse me. So they shout that the simulacrum, the image, must be led to the seats. Literally seats, but in an extended meaning, it can mean shrines. So they shout together that the image must be led towards the shrines, and they shout together that the noumena, the divinity, divae, of the goddess, oranda, must be prayed for. So, if we go back through this, as I pointed out here, there are two indirect statements in this passage. One of them is ruled by ferunt, they bear, they say that, deserving Laocoon, there's our accusative subject, Laocunta, and then here is our infinitive, expendisse. This is a perfect active infinitive, so he has paid for the crime. Now down here, we have our second indirect statement, ruled by conclamant. They shout together that the simulacrum, there's our first accusative subject, ducendum, and then over here, this is actually ducendum esse. There's an implied esse here, which gives us that infinitive force. So they shout together that the image should be led or must be led, because ducendum has that gerundive force there, must be led towards the shrines. And now we have our next accusative subject, noumena, so and they shout together that the noumena, the divinity of the goddess, oranda esse, there's implied esse here as well, must be prayed for. Now, as you can see, I have written out here that ductum iri is the same thing as ducendum esse, or at least they're very similar. They're both the future passive infinitive. So here Virgil employs ducendum esse, and I would say he does that because it implies that there's also that sort of force of must happen. Ducendum, it carries that meaning. Instead of just ductum ire, which would be they shout that it will be led, should be led towards the shrines. So this sort of brings that it must be led towards the shrines. And it must be prayed for. Okay. Now up here I have highlighted most of the words that go together. Down here we have an ablative of instrument. It was, or who defiled the sacred wood, meaning the Trojan horse, with the spear, ablative of instrument. And I think that's all the grammar we need to go into this passage. So this passage is just very ironic isn't it? How Laocoon was the only one shouting the truth, and then he was killed for it, and none of the Trojans believed him. And they're calling the Trojan horse Sacrum Robor. They're saying it's sacred wood. It's a sacred statue, basically. But in truth, it's evil, and Laocoon saw that. But of course, irony, none of the Trojans listened to him, despite him being the only one who saw the truth.